Hey, folks, John Cantera, the Double Broker Bounty Hunter here, and thank you for joining us on yet another one of our series on fraud prevention. We are kind of doing a little supplement here out of the ordinary. Last week, we were talking about insurance fraud, but there have been some developments, particularly in how Progressive has been doing underwriting tasks lately that we want to call to everyone's attention. So we're putting an additional focus on that, and I'm going to have a guest with us here. You all see Sage over here to the right. He's going to be helping us navigate through some of the issues that Progressive has. But first, we're going to show a little bit of love to our sponsor. If you are new to this industry, or even if you are a veteran, the way you survive in trucking is to know your costs. And the best way to do that is with AccuBid Pro.
Tired of spending hours bidding on loads and second-guessing your profits? Introducing AccuBid Pro, the mobile app designed for the everyday owner-operator. We simplify load bidding, making it fast, accurate, and stress-free. Know your operating costs up front to ensure every load is profitable. Plus, for a limited time, enjoy a 30-day free trial. Stop guessing and start earning. Download AccuBid Pro today, available now in the App Store. Bid better with AccuBid Pro.
And as always, if you like the content we provide and the support that we offer the transportation community, we do just about all of it for free. And I say almost all of it. But if you would like to show some support, please buy me a coffee. Go to buymeacoffee.com/stopthescampodcast. And you can donate there to help support our cause in fighting fraud in the industry. We have with us a special guest today. I have Sage Outcast with us. He is not only an experienced broker in the transportation industry, but he has also recently gotten into the insurance game. But don't let his recent transition into insurance fool you. Having been a broker for many years, Sage knows a lot about what things are supposed to be and how things are changing. And he alerted me to some changes that Progressive has been doing lately. As most of you know, particularly if you're new in the industry, you may be taking the time to age your authority by leasing onto another carrier. Well, that has its own, let's call a spade here, a little bit of a shade type issue there. It's gray at best. But if you are in fact doing this, there have been some rule changes going on through Progressive. Sorry about that. Jesus Christ. you got to love when you do live shit. If you're doing this, you got to pay attention to the gray area, and let's call a spade here. You know, having your own authority and leasing on to another authority can be a bit of a challenge from a regulatory perspective. Well, Progressive is not making it any easier. Sage, what have you heard, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? So just so everybody knows, I am a licensed insurance agent. I passed my test, so this is information coming from being in the industry and presently working in the industry. So one of the things that's changed that I wanted to bring to you guys' attention is Progressive, who's one of the leader ones for new authorities, things like that. They allow something called cooking a policy or aging authority so that guys can step into it and have some time underneath it. Well, the issue is that new rules are coming from Progressive and have been handed down to the Progressive agents, basically saying a couple things. So the first thing, which has been there a little bit longer, is something called all companies owned or operated have to be on your policy. Okay. And I'll explain how this kind of comes into effect. So even if you own a truck and the truck is used as a parts truck, if you own that truck, it has to be on your authority. So that has to be listed. Or if somebody's leased you, it has to be on your authority. The other thing that's coming that basically came out just last week, and we received a message basically on our memo to everybody, was you cannot, the driver, you cannot be on two policies and two DOT numbers at the same time. So if you were looking to place yourself and your truck on your DOT and have the insurance run with you on there, you cannot also be leased on somebody else's authority because he has to claim you and your truck on his authority just as much as you're claiming yourself. So what they're not allowing you to do is say, well, I'm not going to drive right now. I'm just going to put my truck and I'm going to list myself as a driver on my own authority and let that sit for 6 months. But while that's doing it, I'm going to go ahead and put my truck and myself on somebody else's authority under a contract lease, and then I can be on two policies. You can't do that. It brings a couple of reasons. One is definitely a reason is if there's a lawsuit and you're in an accident or something, some lawyer is going to dig up the fact that you're on two policies, and now Progressive or has to start a fight between, hey, we weren't a part of this claim. This was under some other authority, and they don't want that liability. So what we've been running into is explaining to people that no, you can't put yourself as the listed driver on your DOT with your truck because the other guy has to claim you on theirs. And that's been a shocker. I've actually had a couple people, no, that's not true. Yes, it is. So that's one of the things that is, and they're doing this also to try to also get ahead of fraud claims, liabilities, and risks and things like that. So it makes sense when you think about it. Hey, if I'm driving over here and I get into a wreck, and it's a bad enough wreck where your lawyers are involved, they're going to find every policy that you're connected to and possibly start to see where they can get money from.
Yeah, this presents a bit of an issue because what carriers have started doing over the course of the last couple of years is knowing that brokers won't work with you unless you've got at least 6 months under your belt. They go ahead, they start their own authority, and then just lease on, as you mentioned. So right now, a lot of carriers may be scrambling to figure out, okay, what's the workaround? Because if I'm currently doing that, and I've got my name on both policies, then I risk one of those policies getting canceled. Most likely the new carrier's policy will end up getting canceled on them during that process. So in order to mitigate that risk, we have even seen guys taking their personal vehicles, putting it onto that authority so that the VIN number that shows up on their insurance is different from the VIN number that's showing on the insurance of the people they're leased onto. That way you kind of mitigate some of that risk. We've been seeing a lot of that. But one of the things that we are also seeing, guys, and I think a lot of carriers don't understand that if you do that, you're not going to be able to get that other vehicle off the policy when you go to start running on your own authority. Because you have to have a bill of sale in order to get that off of your authority. Is that not true?
Correct. So you have to have a bill. So to get a vehicle off, just like I said, even if it's a parked truck, you have to have a bill of sale or a termination lease agreement. If you were leasing a truck, right? If you're leasing a truck, you put it on there. Well, you need a termination lease agreement to take it off the truck. So that's the other thing. One of the other reasons people put cars on there is that according to the FMCSA filings, for you to have anything over 26,000 pounds, you need a minimum in every other state except New Jersey. You need a minimum 750 on there for that. Well, car under 10,000 pounds falls under a minimum of 300,000 minimum liability. So you'll see a lot of people put cars on there to start their authority because they can bump it down to a 300,000 minimum liability rather than the 750 and of course 1.5 in New Jersey, but we don't count New Jersey. That's a whole other country. But basically, let's just go with the normal stuff is the 750,000. Now brokers normally require 1 million, but you'll see a lot of them that'll throw vehicles that are under 10,000 pounds on there as $300,000. But now could that, and remember with Amazon and different deliveries, that person could be delivering freight. You could be delivering product or freight with that vehicle. They could be grabbing stuff and delivering product with that. So it's a legitimate, people do use their cars. Some people use vans. Some people use cargo vans. Some people use SUVs. So it can be added. That is not to make these deliveries. But yeah, they haven't seen a 300,000 activated MC before. Yeah, so that would be listed under anything under 10,000 pounds and usually applies to things like cargo van and things like that. Something under 10,000 pounds.
Your sprinter community would qualify there too.
Correct. Now, if you have a 250 that's capable of towing more than that, that's going to fall into whatever your capability of towing is, which I've run into that also. So it is one of those that the most important thing to just realize all vehicles owned have and accounted, and operated. That means even if they're leased drivers have to be on that policy. So then what it goes about is when that other carrier that you're contracting to under your lease agreement list your vehicle and you as a driver, you're going to be seen by insurance companies, right? So what happens is I might write a policy and you don't tell me. And I write the policy, I base it on the information that you give me. Well, eventually I'm just an agent. Eventually, if I write a Progressive policy or a Geico policy, or I'm just all of these different markets, there's going to be an audit where they're going to go back and make sure that I did everything right. And what they're going to do is they're going to see you on this policy. They're going to search your name, your driving record, and they're going to possibly see you listed on somebody else's policy. Now you've got two policies, and that you could potentially be easily canceled because from the policy that you wrote with your DOT number, and that would be good, could go against you as a cancellation.
I got a note here from Jessica saying that you can have more than one driver, or a driver can appear on more than one policy, but shared equipment cannot. So I do recommend that carriers out there, if you are dealing with this particular situation, talk very closely with your agent. Make sure that they specialize in transportation, because I believe the test only has like a few questions relating to transportation.
I think my test had one question in regards to trucking. Everything else was homeowners on and automotive and commercial, but my question was COI. I remember the answer was a COI, certificate of insurance, was the only thing that pertained to trucking in regards to the property and casualty test.
So not all agents, insurance agents are the right deal for any trucker. If you're a trucker looking for insurance, make sure you're talking to somebody who specializes in trucking insurance, because it is an ever-changing field, as well as fraud in the industry. The insurance people are doing everything they can to try to curtail fraud from their standpoint. Whether it's fraudulent claims that come through, et cetera, which is why Progressive is going through this blitz reviewing policies right now, trying to figure out where there are issues and are canceling people at an alarming rate. Keep your eyes open in those situations. If you are a new carrier and you are trying to age your authority and lease onto somebody else, the proper way to do all this, the best way to avoid the situation, is stay on your own authority. Yes, it means you're stuck running with mega brokers like everyone's favorite three-letter broker out of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much called cutting your teeth in the industry. It sucks, especially if you've been in the industry for a while. But that is the intended way for you to come up in this industry and start your authority. I would expect that you're going to see not just insurance companies, but even brokerages, if they're able to find a means to show commonality or association with an owner-operator in multiple MCs, that they're going to try to find a way to keep you from getting loads. It's like I said, it's not necessarily something that is forbidden, but it is definitely a gray area. If you want to stay clean, you want to stay proper, just stay on your own authority and fight your way through those first 6 months. And as much of a pain as it is, that's really what it takes to do it the right way. Sage, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us. I really do appreciate the information. You got any final plugs you want to go ahead and give for your own stuff?
No, yeah, you guys can find me on either Freight X Media on YouTube or Sage Outcast X. Those are my two channels. Also, one other thing I did want to bring your attention is another big one for cancellations is they're doing immensely is verifying your garaging address. If the garaging address comes back and it doesn't look, or it looks like a virtual address, you will get a notification from Progressive saying, hey, you're going to have to verify this is actually your address. And if not, they will cancel you. So that's the other one they're looking at also.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And brokers are definitely looking at that. FMCSA is starting to look at that. And we've talked about that before on our show. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Sage. Again, if you like the content that we put out, please help support us and help us keep our activities free. buymeacoffee.com/stop the scam podcast, and you can make donations there, and we would greatly appreciate any support you do. Our main show, Stop the Scam, is live every Monday afternoon, 1 p.m. Central, on all the Lounge Media Group social media outlets. This coming week, we will have MCP Danielle Spinelli joining us to talk about the Fraud Guard program that MCP has. And after that, on June 9th, we will have Genlogs joining the show. If you have any questions for us, you can always reach me, John Cantera, the Double Broker Bounty Hunter, at jcantera@stopthescampodcast.com. Make sure you follow the hashtag Freight Fraud Task Force. We officially go live this weekend, and we are looking forward to doing some big things within the industry. Stay safe out there. There's a lot of stuff going on. Lots of storms across the Northeast. It's summertime, y'all. Stay safe, and whatever you do, don't let scammers take you for a ride. See you next week.